Mike, it's interesting. Right before our election, U.S. election, there was a tremendous amount of people just angry over this and tremendous amount of people angry over that. Once the election went through, the media stopped doing all the political ads, and I haven't heard as much anger.
Oh, I have.
There's
always something. And recently, in the past couple of days, there's been shootings, and people are always pointing blame at those people or these people. Or
well, we have an interesting guest that's going to shed light. First of all, I have a whole bunch of questions about Matrix because I think that sort of fits in the anger matrix, the love matrix, the different things. So our guest is Magenta Pixie. Magenta is an author. She's a channeler. She works with individuals and comes on and talks about a variety of different things. And we want to welcome Magenta Pixie to our program. So thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for asking me back.
Well, let's first talk a little bit about the matrix. Can you help us to define what a matrix is, and can you give some examples, better examples than?
Yeah, I mean, the word matrix really is a structure, really, a lattice structure, if you like, a formation. But in the context of the way it's used in spiritual circles and in sort of the truther movement as well, the Matrix, and often links back to the films, the Matrix trilogy, and there's a lot of truth within that film, within those films, like there are in many science fiction films. So you can get a lot of truth about the Matrix and using this simulated reality as a metaphor. And that's what they do in those films, and that's kind of how it is. So if you use the matrix in a negative sense to mean a simulated structure that we think is reality, but it's really illusion, that's used to control us, that's what the Nine would call the inverted matrix or the false matrix. It's when people think they're in reality and that they are being bombarded with signals, if you like, mind control, brainwashing, if you like, to keep them within that reality that they believe in. And because they believe in that reality, they keep perpetuating that reality through their paradigm and the energy that they put out as you create that which you are. So therefore, they put that energy out within their own consciousness, and they continue to perpetuate that structure. And that's what everyone is doing. That's why it's holding this dark matrix, false matrix, inverted matrix in place. Of course, people are changing their consciousness and waking up, and the minute that happens, that sort of signal is set free, if you will. It's no longer contained within sort of limitations and barriers. It's set free. Therefore, it has a much wider range. And so this inverted matrix is losing its hold very much so. It's still there, but nothing to the degree that it has been in many, many years. So that would be the inverted matrix, the false matrix. But then there's the organic matrix, which is the true structure of reality, which is the energetic from source. It is the way that we decode the code of unity, which is the true reality. The true reality is a unified field. It is a oneness. It cannot be explained. It cannot be put into words in its fullest sense. But there are those here who are within that indigo energy, which is very much about analysis. They are here to put that structure, that unity into words so that we can all learn and understand and be able to unify together. So that would be the organic matrix, which is simply thought itself. It's the mind itself. And you can learn to distinguish where the inverted false matrix begins and ends and where the organic matrix is. That's the ascension journey. We're moving away from that which is false into that which is true. And that is not just within the third dimension. It is within the third dimension. This person's telling lies, that person's telling the truth. That's all very third dimensional, but that's the anchor to the unified energy, which is moving away from separation into oneness, moving from separation, as in I'm separate from you, Patrick, I'm separate from you, Mike, because we're three separate individuals. We know that within the third dimension, we know that. But when we move into the organic matrix and the understanding of unity, I know that I'm you, Patrick, and I know that I'm you, Mike. How do I know that? Well, I'm able to feel my energy combining with yours, and I know that we are one matrix, we are one soul, we are one energy. I also can have your memories, Patrick, and I can have your memories, Mike, and I can see where your memories begin and end, and with your permission, within the context of the third dimension. So that doesn't mean I'm sitting here and remembering all of Patrick's life or all of Mike's life, but were you to give me permission to look there, I would be able to. Why? Because I'm you and you are me. So that's where we're going. That's what it means by the uncovering of that which is false and moving into that which is true. So it's deeply layered, if you like.
Yeah, it's weird when you talk to people or you read what people post online. It's like they're living in a whole different reality than I am. I see things a certain way, and and other people they think they're woke, if you know what the woke means. And they see so much darkness, and I see optimism. It's just crazy how different our realities are.
Well, we are in different realities, but if you want to look at it perhaps as, I guess, a fractal tunnel, if you like. So we've got the false matrix, the inverted matrix, the brainwashing, that which we believe is real. And we break free from that, just like in the Matrix films. We break free from that sleeping embryo that's in the film into the true body. So that's what we do, we break free. But when we do that and we're woke, W-O-K-E, which is really funny, it's really funny, but it's true, we are woke because we've woken to the fact that that was the false matrix and this is the real one. And the reason why the individuals feel woke and say that they're woke and are able to see that truthful matrix is because they really have left behind that which is false and moved into that which is true at one level. But they're there. When you're there in that level, you can't see the levels above you. You can't decode the levels above you or the levels in front of you or whichever direction you want to use. So you talk to someone, you take somebody who's woke to level 1, if you like, to the individuals in level 0, which is the third dimension, they'll think that you're crazy because they can't see where you are. So the people who've woke to that first stage, which is the rejection of the inverted matrix and into the first step into the true matrix, they're woke and they are woke. What those people could do with becoming aware of is that there are other levels to that wokeness. So once you break free from that, you then break free to another level of wokeness, and then another level, and then another level. And how long does that go on for? It's infinite, because we are an infinite structure. The matrix is infinite. Where we are right now in our Earth timeline in 2018, we're looking at a certain part of that infinite tunnel, which we can decode or describe as the third dimension, the fourth dimension, and the fifth dimension. So let's say we're in the third dimension and we're not woke. Within the third dimension, there'll be harmonic levels. So some of us can be woke compared to this person. But then you jump into the fourth dimension, which is another series of harmonic levels, and the people at the top of that level are woke compared to these people. And then we've got the fifth dimension. That's basically where we are, 3, 4, and 5. In this particular ascension timeline, and that is where the majority of the ascending individuals are going. Of course, we have the 6th and the 7th and the 8th and the 9th and on and on and on. And some of us are able to link into those other dimensions that are beyond the 5th. And that's what we were talking about when we last spoke. That's the omnipresence, that's the infinite helix, that's the unified field, that's the channeling, that's the 9. That's when we're jumping beyond the 5th dimension and moving into structure in the 6th and outside of structure beyond that. But basically we're looking at 3, 4, and 5. So people who have jumped into the 4th dimension are woke compared to those in the third, and then they go through the harmonics there. So that's why you've got all these degrees of woke. I remember one lady talking on Facebook to me, how shocked she was that she was talking in this forum and everyone was saying that they're part of the Great Awakening. So she believed they meant the fifth dimensional spiritual Great Awakening. So she started talking about all this stuff, which I won't go into because it's just far too much. And they didn't know what she was talking about, and they thought she was crazy. And she thought, I thought you were all part of the Great Awakening. So there's a bit of a misunderstanding, a bit of a confusion there, because the Great Awakening, in its most aligned interpretation of what that word means, looking at the energetic consciousness of the majority of individuals who have that paradigm of what the Great Awakening means, that would be a spiritual awakening. However, we've got this other group of individuals that are woke to a certain level, that are calling the Great Awakening, discovering that, you know, the deep state are the deep state, and that Trump's not, and that this, that, and the other politically, and they're saying that is the Great Awakening. Well, now that is also the case, but it's a Great Awakening in one area of truth, and it's very, very important, because that's the third dimension, and we live within the third dimension in our physical bodies. It's very, very important. But then we can go deeper into what the Great Awakening means, which is a spiritual awakening. If we can do all of these at the same time, then that's when we're in integration. So those who have woken up to the sort of truth of the political situation, the cabal, the Illuminati, deep state, and all of that, it would be good for those individuals to move into a spiritual awareness. Now, they don't have to do it through New Age spirituality. They can do it through the love of music, the love of flowers, nature, the love of just love, you know, but they can still get themselves there. But some people don't. They cut off love, they cut off spirituality, but they stay within that wokeness place. And they're the ones that you're talking about, Mike, that are very, very angry, because they're polarized. They've learned the truth. They've jumped from being asleep into a great awakening, but they haven't opened the heart into the next level. So they're there in anger, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with being there, as long as that is integrated and moved through, and eventually you step forward into the next level of the Great Awakening. If you stay there in that angry place, you do yourself detriment, and you actually play into the hands of the service to self, because anger is one of the ways they can hijack you, but only when it's long-term or permanent. When you integrate it, you cannot be hijacked, because you are not in that place anymore. You're no longer in the fourth dimension, which is where you would be. You're in the fifth or beyond.
Yeah, whenever I talk to people online, if I don't agree with them, then they automatically put me on the other side, you know. Say, like, if they're Democrats, and
yes,
I'm kind of in the middle. I've had the same beliefs for a long time. If I don't agree with everything that they say, well, then you are a part of all of this over here. And it's like,
yes,
no, I'm here looking at all of it and appraising the whole picture,
yes,
you know, and you don't understand that I'm not like part of the, you know, the service to self. And you know, it's bigger than what you think I am. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. When you're in polarity and you can't see unity, you don't expect someone to come in from unity, and you can't expect to understand them. You are going to want them to place themselves in either one camp or the other. Otherwise, you will say that that person is not making up their mind, therefore they're not making a commitment to one camp or the other. Whereas that person, from their perspective, has moved into bilocational consciousness, trilocational consciousness, outside of the double helix, into the triple helix and beyond. And their paradigm is very different. So yes, they are in another dimension. They're stood next to that person. They can be in the same room. They can hold hands. They can live together in the same house for years and years and years and have children or whatever. But they are in different dimensions by the very nature of what they're creating through their paradigm. As you are, so is your environment. You and your environment are one. You are at one with your environment, and it reflects your consciousness. It reflects what you are. So when you come into a chat room and there are others in a polarized state and you are coming from the opposing viewpoint, you will be put into the opposite camp from them. I had somebody, I mean, I haven't really been that much into the sort of Q phenomenon. I realize it is connected to the awakening movement, and I see that, but I haven't particularly been into that because there are others doing that role that I've been told about, and my role is elsewhere. However, I have made the odd Twitter or Facebook comment or spoken about Q on a very minor level. And because of these few comments I've put forward, I've actually had people say to me, I don't want to follow you anymore, Magenta, because you are pro-Q. And in the same day, I've had someone else say to me, I don't want to follow you anymore, Magenta, because you're anti-Q.
It's like, how do you get there?
Well, that were two different perspectives, two different interpretations
Right.
of a unified perspective regarding Q. So they put me in one camp or the other.
Right. Because there can't be any other place to be. You're either with us or against us, and that's it.
Is that
And that's the polarity, yeah.
is that part of the transformation, the ascension process that many individuals started back in 2005, expecting to go into the fifth dimension in 2012? Is this all a part of our growing?
Yes, it was a linear interpretation of what it meant to move into the fifth dimension. So if you have the intellectual understanding of moving dimensions, but you do not have the actual state of consciousness to be able to view what that means, then you will interpret it in a third dimensional sense, because your interface, your third dimensional interface, the brain, is decoding everything in the way that you can understand in accordance to your consciousness. Therefore, when you look at moving to another dimension, you will see that as something other than it actually is.
It's just, if you look back at the way people thought in World War II or World War I, it just seems so much simpler. Bad, good, we're here, you're there, and that's as deep as it got. But
Yes.
now we're seeing behind the veil and seeing the other structures that manipulate us. And it's like, okay, this has gotten a lot more interesting for me, I think. And
Yes.
I can see the fruitfulness of it, and like you and I, we see the usefulness of Trump and what he's trying to do, and we see past the noise.
Yes, yes. But you are in integration, therefore what you are seeing is an integrated reality. So you're seeing a multi-layered reality, as are you, Patrick, because you're in a state of integration. You're seeing a multi-layered reality, as am I. But those who are still in third dimensional existence see a mono-tracked reality, because they are in that one camp, if you like. They are in that polarized place of separation. They can't see what you see. What we are seeing, they can't see it.
And this is how you get manipulated and put into wars.
Of course, absolutely, absolutely. When it comes to war, I can categorically tell you now, from what the Nine have shown me, that every war on this planet within our known history, I'm not sure about beyond, possibly, but within our known history, every war has been managed. It's been created. If we had been left alone to our own devices without infiltration, then there would not have been wars, because human individuals do not have a intrinsic need to fight and be in battle. They have an intrinsic need to move into integration.
Yeah, that's where you get the politics over the people who are manipulating it, when both like countries and their populations, I just want to live and visit with the children and do life and not be pushed against anyone.
Yes, the average, the organic human individual that is incarnated within the organic structure, its aim, that structure's aim, is to be here to learn, but to live in joy and live in bliss. But there are layers to that as well, because when you actually say to someone, these wars, if you like, have been created, then someone in polarity will be very angry, and rightly so. Rightly so that they should be angry, because from the perspective of polarity, they have been infiltrated. They've had their life that they could have led taken away from them. They've had their family put in danger. So rightly so that they're angry. But unless you see the other viewpoint as well, which is the fact that we chose to come into polarity in order to integrate and pass our experiences into the memory field that is the dragon's breath, the sacred fire, the emerald flame, the memories of source. We chose to do that because that's how source itself or reality itself evolves or moves, creates momentum, if you like. It's not really an evolution, it's a constant pulse. But we need to analyze that pulse, if you like.
I don't know if you could give any advice to people who are in this awareness of, we've got about 6 minutes left, how to deal with this reality. You would just like to go out and shake these people, like, can you just wake up? And it just doesn't work. You try to put out a few things like, hey, maybe this will open their eyes, and it just makes people mad. Is there a way just to deal with being in this time?
Allow yourself to flow with the energy of your environment. Remember that you and your environment are one. And when you allow yourself to flow, you will be naturally led or guided. And I don't mean in a passive way, as in my guides will lead me wherever I want to go and I just sit here and wait for my guides to tell me what to do because I'm just a meek human. That is not what I mean. I mean you and your environment are one, and you work together, and you flow where you are needed and where you can benefit from the environment that is presented to you. So if you get caught in a big debate and everyone's having an argument and you're feeling angry, you're feeling bad, you're feeling righteous, I've done it. We're not all sort of holier and thou and can easily move away from a debate when somebody is saying things that are triggering you at very, very deep levels, which is what is happening. It's very easy to get caught up because you know that you are right. But when you're in that space, you are not in flow. You can debate in flow if your debate is coming from an objective, balanced place. There is a way to enter debate without getting into the polarity. If you trust that alignment within you and that unity between yourself and your environment, you will be led to the places where you are needed and where you can benefit from your environment as well. So you're always in a win-win situation with yourself and the environment. You won't then get caught up with this dark polarity, but you do have to observe it and you do have to be there within it, because if you move away from it completely and say, oh, I'm in a wonderful, blissful place, I've done yoga all morning, I've been sat here with my green smoothie under a tree, I don't care what's happening in the political scene, I don't care what's happening at the borders or with all this, I don't care, I'm in a state of bliss. That is not integration. And that's a problem that the individuals who are just woke, who don't accept spirituality, they see us as passive and as floating off into a non-caring situation. We are not when we are integrated. We are able to do all of these things. We are able to make a difference within the political scene, within all areas and structures of reality. We can make a difference because we are interacting with our environment in a unified way. Therefore, we are influencing the greater environment. And when we do that together as one, as a large team of starseeds, as we are doing, and truthers and all of us together, when we're all unified and not divided and fighting, when we're unified, that's what's changing this entire reality, and that's what's creating the fifth dimension and the awareness of the fifth dimension and actually making it real, making it be the planet we live on. That's how we're doing it.
I got into, I guess it ended in a good way, a debate about immigration, because I've seen what happened in Europe. And as soon as I said anything against it, they thought, well, you don't like immigrants. Like, no, you know? And so by the end of it, you know, they thought I was way over here and they're way over here.
Yeah.
By the end of it, we agree. You know, it's like, no, I'm not here and you're not way over there. We're both in the same place. So can we agree? Yes, and it was over.
You
and
know,
that's the unified consciousness and the unified awareness and paradigm that we need to be looking for. If we can all understand that, then, you know, we are literally creating a new world here on this planet. I mean, I can actually say to you right now, categorically, that I am so for immigration. And I'm so against it as well, because it depends where and which bit.
Yeah.
Well, the different books in your latest book, the Infinite Helix and the Emerald Flame, do you have a copy of that that you can show? You'll have to get real close to. Yeah, there we go. I think goes very much into what we've been discussing. And your other books are those things that really we can sort of grab a better understanding about the flow of energy and what we were talking about. Wouldn't you agree, Magenta?
Absolutely. If you are someone who is just woke in that first level of awakening, and you know that there's a reality that has been hidden from you, and now you're discovering it, and you want to go into the spiritual movement, if you like, but you feel that you are still sort of hijacked by those darker energies, you still feel that you are trapped within the matrix, then this book, which is the first one, The Masters of the Matrix, this is the teaching to allow you to become a master of your matrix, be free within the structure that is the matrix, be free within this reality, within your own paradigm.
Can you move that closer to your face? There we go.
Yeah, so
very
that's
good.
Masters of the
Matrix. Okay.
So that's the one you would go for if you're in that place. If you're further on with your spirituality, you want to go deeper into geometry, deeper into DNA activation, then go straight to this one. You can read them all, or you can just choose one, you know.
Okay.
And that's this is for those who are already spiritually aware and working with themselves at deeper levels. This one goes into things a little bit deeper. This one is about Stargate Ascension, which is accelerated ascension.
Fantastic.
This is about this one is about constructing the matrix. This one is actually about moving it, traveling within it. So it's good. Where your matrix becomes the Merkaba. It's a vehicle. It's a light ship. It's a UFO. It's a dragon. All of these things mean something to everyone who's woke, no matter what level they're on. Even if they don't want anything to do with spirituality and psychic channels, you say the word, you're a dragon rider. You know, you hold the sword of Excalibur. You are a knight of the round table. That will resonate with them, even though they don't know what it means, because you're talking to the deepest language of light, metaphoric symbols that are within the DNA. These are archetypal symbols that have been placed into our entire matrix, our structure, from birth and beyond that. They're in us as memory codes. They're there to trigger us. So that's what that book's about. It's triggering the deep symbolism, the language of light, and teaching you to be able to go through Stargate Ascension.
Hey, we're talking with Magenta Pixie. Magenta, I really thank you for sharing a lot of information on today's video and previous videos, etc. I always learn a lot with Magenta. We're talking with Magenta Pixie. She's a channel author. You can find her at magentapixie.com. And also, I recommend you take a strong look at those books and her videos that she has online. Mike, Thank you again. I'm
We're out
Patrick.
of time again.
Yeah.
I'm Mike, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.